Hello, my fellow creators, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm excited to be here as part of the Creator Collective, sharing a little bit of a project using the July 2025 Crafty Crew Kit. Now, today's video is part of a hop, so I will put a link to the playlist in the description box below. Now, I did want to show you my first project using the goodies in this kit. And you may have seen an unboxing video I did a few days ago, so I'll link to that video as well. Now I've gone ahead and cut out all my pieces, and I'm using quite a few elements from this kit. Now, of course, I am using pattern paper, and I did cut those pieces ahead of time. I also used some of the stamped images and sentiments. And what I did with these was I cut them using my electronic cutting machine. And then once they were cut, I went back and stamped the images and sentiments. And that way I had them perfectly aligned. And then what I did here was I got a piece of this blue cardstock and I used the stencil that was part of the kit, and I used that to stencil this background. And on my pattern paper, I die cut a circle frame out of it. And I had a little bit tearing on the pattern paper here because I taped it down, but that's not a problem. I'll make sure I cover that up with one of my colored images. Now, a quick reminder, the July 2025 Crafty Crew Kit is available for pre-order from June 1st through June 15th, 2025. So your last day to order this kit is June 15th. That is the absolute last day. After that, it will no longer be available for purchase. So I'm going to start by assembling the shaker portion of this card. Yes, a shaker card, in case I hadn't mentioned it. That's what I'm making. So I'm going to go ahead and tape the circle frame to the pattern paper from the back. That way they're aligned the way I want them. And I'm just using some double-sided tape that I have in my stash. And this way I can make sure I have everything in place before I add my acetate sheet. So here I'm kind of just testing out where I'm going to want the sentiment. And I decided to add this extra strip of the pattern paper to the front of this card just so that I could place the sentiment there, because I think the sentiment doesn't pop as much on the busier pattern paper as it does on this more tone-on-tone pattern paper. So I've got that attached. I'm going to trim off whatever extra paper is hanging over the edge. And I think that looks good. The pattern papers tie in really well together. Then I'm going to bring in my acetate sheet. And what I use is these sheets of, it is acetate. It's what teachers used to use back in the day when they used overhead projectors. So they would print up these acetate sheets and use that on the projector to project onto the screen for students. But teachers no longer use those. So there was a box that was going to be discarded, and I thought, well, you know what? I can use this for my shaker cards, which is exactly what I do. So I cut that down to size, and then I'm adding some more double-sided tape to the back of my panel here, and that's where I will attach my acetate sheet to. All right, now that's on there, good to go. Now I need to add some foam tape to give it a nice well to add all my shaker bits. So I double up my foam tape here. That'll give me a deeper well to put it in. And then I'm adding it all over the back of the panel because I want the whole panel to be popped up. And then I'll trim down some of that foam tape so it's a little narrower and I can fit it in some of those open spaces as well as around the circle, because I want the bits to only shake in the circle area, not the whole panel. That's why I'm putting so much foam tape on the back of this panel. All right, so next I'm going to go ahead and attach that blue panel to my card base. And then I'm going to kind of center where I want my shaker panel. So what I like to do when I'm doing shaker cards is I'll add the bits into the open section and then I'll cover it with more acetate. So when I flip this piece over to center it on my card base, bits aren't falling all over the place. They're contained within 2 sheets of acetate. Now, these bits came in the Crafty Crew Kit. It has some sequins and some clay bits, little marshmallows, little flames from your campfire, really cute little bits and pieces. So I'm putting those inside the well there. And then here I'm kind of testing it, hoping I don't spill any. Trying to make sure I have the right amount of bits in here. And I'm going to add just a few more here. So now I'm going to cut down my other piece of acetate to layer over the well there that I have, the circle with all my bits, and that way they don't fall out when I'm flipping them over, and I can center my panel without having to worry about losing any of my bits. So I'll take off just a little bit of the release paper here, just enough to grab that second piece of acetate and have it hold on. And then I'll remove the rest of the release paper when I'm adding it to my card. See, now I can lift it and shake it and no problem. And having that acetate there really does help, especially when I'm removing the rest of the release paper, because I've done it before where I will not have anything on that back portion, and as I'm releasing the release paper, my card bounces or shakes and bits fly all over the place. So this makes sure that doesn't happen. Now I went ahead and colored my images off camera, so they're all colored and ready to go. And now I'm just kind of figuring out where I'm going to place them on here. So I went ahead and added the sentiment to that strip of pattern paper that I attached to my panel. And then I'm going to use some of that double-sided adhesive on the back of my images. And the reason I'm doing this instead of using liquid glue is because part of these images will be sticking to the acetate. And liquid glue does not play well with acetate. So I'll get these backings all off of there, and then I'll start to attach my images. So I'm starting with our campfire in the middle, and then I'll add our 2 little critters, one on each side. So here I'm going to add a few of those little clay bits. So I'll add some of those campfire flames as well as some of the little marshmallows. I just think it kind of adds a special extra touch to the card. And of course, I need to add a strip of pattern paper to the inside. So I have a strip left over from when I cut my pattern paper. So I'm just adding it to the inside and then trimming off the little piece that hangs over. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of sparkle to our campfire. and add a bit of glossy accents. That way there'll be a nice shine to that campfire. And here is my first completed card using the July 2025 Crafty Crew Kit from Crafty Stamp Co. Thanks so much for sticking around to the end. I'd be thrilled if you subscribed to my YouTube channel or followed me on any of my other social media platforms. As always, have a beautiful, safe, and creative day. Thanks for watching. Bye.